session. So we're continuing to look at where FDO can be applied. And Dell is actually a wonderful example of a way that FDO can be leveraged for securing edge nodes. And we're really happy to have Jenna Tartaglino, the consultant product manager for the Edge from Dell, here with us to talk about how Dell is leveraging FDO to secure the Edge. So Jenna, please take it away and welcome.
Thanks, Megan. Yeah, really excited to be here and walk you through how our native Edge product helped prompt and push Dell to adopt FDO. So first, at Dell, we define the edge as where your data is acted on near its point of creation to generate immediate essential value. So for us, the edge is a series of locations where our customers are generating the core value of their business. If they're in manufacturing, that's a manufacturing plant. If they're in retail, it's the sales floor. If they're in medical services, it's the exam room, the ambulance, the X-ray facility. By leveraging edge computing, it gives us the opportunity to capture data and generate new value in those locations to solve problems in ways we couldn't before. Now we're able to process data that's normally too large to move into a data center or a cloud that needs a real-time response and can be provided from a central facility and may have specific privacy or security requirements that make it difficult to move. So when trying to evaluate the edge, we recognize that we have a unique set of challenges that require really a new way of architecting to solve for them. So since the edge can be anywhere, testing, validating, integrating, deploying, and managing the hardware and associated software becomes critical due to all the diversity. Maintaining hardware and software complexity for various form factors and configurations is a significant challenge that we have to figure out how to address for a large-scale edge deployment. The OT workloads at the edge need to be able to support both legacy and next-gen workloads deployed in various forms, such as VMs, containers, serverless, and managing these in locations without technical personnel needs to be simple, scalable, and easily repairable. Fundamentally, we need them to be zero touch once they're plugged in and powered on. So we're in figuring out how we solve for these, we needed to reimagine, I guess you'd say, a new way to do edge operations. So we needed to come up with a solution that we could solve those challenges we just talked about and do that without local skilled resources while still ensuring security from the point of manufacturing all along the supply chain to the point of production in an environment with a variety of protocols and networking configurations. And in a scenario where we can centrally monitor and manage those applications. So we need a solution that can support multi-cloud workloads by design. And that is the background on what we were trying to solve and how we created the Dell Native Edge product. So the Dell Native Edge product is an edge operations software platform, the centralized orchestration software that allows you to deliver your infrastructure management and application orchestration down to your physical layer of native edge enabled compute devices. So this is a peek at what we just delivered in our version 1 release, which was just launched a few months ago. We have a centralized orchestrator, as you can see, that we call the Native Edge Orchestrator. This is a centralized management software system that includes a catalog of blueprints. You can populate the catalog with your applications. And over time, we'll also be, Dell will be developing additional solution blueprints that we can make available in that catalog for you to deploy the applications in your environment. The orchestrator provides secure onboarding, which is where we'll focus today, as well as provides lifecycle management of the edge infrastructure and giving you the ability to lifecycle manage all your applications through that blueprint mechanism. In addition to the secure device onboarding, we're also able to do zero-touch provisioning of the OS onto those native edge enabled devices through the onboarding process. So we've kind of combined the FDO capabilities with a way to zero-touch provision the device once it's securely onboarded. And we do all of that across your distributed computing estate. Let me just add a bit in here. So for our first release, we've We have specific devices we've enabled for the platform, which is gateways, our PowerEdge servers, as well as a client device. And our goal here is that we want to extend the list of supported devices across both the Dell portfolio as well as beyond the Dell portfolio by enabling additional hardware partners, as well as multi-cloud support. And all of that kind of goes into why we chose FDO. So FDO helped us solve, we just went through a bunch of challenges, but a portion of those challenges are what we solved with FDO. So FDO for us was the right solution to solve how we onboard devices in a zero IT environment. It provided us with a secured zero-touch onboarding mechanism. It allowed us to also utilize, using FDO, we can utilize some of our existing secure supply chain technology like supply chain validation, which allows us to validate from a device from the factory through the supply chain. And we're using our FDO ownership voucher to do that. It also gave us a way to make our devices tamper resistant. It very importantly gave us the hardware and supply chain flexibility that was important here, since with Native Edge, our goal is not just one hardware platform. We want to be able to offer a wide variety of endpoint devices to be able to support all these different edge use cases, as well as partner with third-party vendors that may fill in gaps in our existing portfolio or be specific to what a customer needs. And by using an industry standard like FDO, that gave us a way to build the capability in-house, as well as be able to utilize it across our partner ecosystem. So here is how we implemented it within Dell, a little bit high level. So order comes in and it goes into Dell manufacturing, and Dell manufacturing is where we run the FDO DI protocol, which I believe Richard covered earlier. So most importantly, we're generating a secure key pair in the TPM, we're installing the FDO client, and we're generating an FDO ownership voucher. So when that device leaves manufacturing, it has its secure key pair and all the software it needs to be able to execute FDO. The ownership voucher that's generated during DI also leaves the factory and is sent into our Dell digital locker, which I'll explain in a little more detail on the next slide. But for now, just that's where we store the ownership vouchers. Then our Edge orchestrator is typically, the orchestrator itself is located in the data center. And when someone receives their Native Edge enabled device and whatever their Edge location is, they can power it on, and it is automatically programmed from manufacturing per the FDO protocols to call into our Native Edge orchestrator using Rendezvous. That's where that first portion takes place. And I'm sorry, I actually skipped the vouchers being uploaded into the orchestrator, which is how TOO happens, so that when the device calls in to Rendezvous, the Native Edge orchestrator knows who that endpoint is. Once that has been established, then the device has its end location and can register itself within the onboarding service. From there is where we kick off the zero-touch provisioning once our onboarding has been completed. As I said earlier, I'd explained Dell Digital Locker a little bit. So when we were trying to figure out how to solve adding FDO into Dell systems, we wanted to make sure it was kind of as seamless as possible for the user. So we wanted to integrate vouchers into where a customer would normally go today. So when you purchase a product from Dell, you go to Dell Digital Locker for your software download, if it's a software product, as well as for your licenses. So we built this, what we've called the voucher management system inside of that Dell Digital Locker. So it's one location that the customer's already familiar with, where they go for all their downloads, licenses, and now where they also go to manage their vouchers if they so need to. So we provide two ways for a user to get a voucher. So as we mentioned, Edge clients may or may not have internet access, so we needed to provide as automated a method as we could, as well as an air-gapped method for manual ways to upload their vouchers. So this is demonstrating if you have an internet connection, then we set up a connection between the VMS within Dell Digital Locker and your Edge Orchestrator itself. So once you've set up your orchestrator, you can call out from the orchestrator to the Dell Digital Locker with an access token and authorize that orchestrator to receive vouchers directly. From then on, every time Dell Digital Locker receives vouchers for that customer, it can push those vouchers down to the orchestrator on its own without the customer needing to do anything, which would allow them to, every time they get a new endpoint device, they don't have to do anything. The device turns on, calls orchestrator. The orchestrator already has those vouchers, and it can establish connectivity from there. For customers that do not have connectivity and need to go a manual route, they would actually need to go into Dell Digital Locker itself. As I mentioned, they are familiar with it as they go there for their downloads, but then manually download those vouchers one by one, or select all and do a bulk download, and then manually upload those to their orchestrator. And that would need to be done anytime there's a new voucher available. And so this is just visually how that kind of looks within Native Edge Orchestrator. This is an overall, just your standard dashboard when you enter. And you select here, you can see there's an option to upload your vouchers. You'll be prompted to do this after your initial setup of the orchestrator. It's kind of a guided journey that continues on. So from here, you can select whether you are air-gapped or non-air-gapped. As I just explained those two options, you select non-air-gapped, it'll call out to the Dell Digital Locker at this point to set up those access tokens and start pulling your vouchers down. If you need to do manual, select that option. It just walks you through how to access Dell Digital Locker and perform that download and upload. Here is a visual of within Dell Digital Locker's voucher management system. So as you can see on the left-hand side, this is where a customer comes for their software licenses, registrations, subscriptions. And now we have a new line item there, which is vouchers. Over here, you can download them one by one, or there is also now a multi-select option if you want to do more as one bundle. Alternatively, back into Native Edge Orchestrator, this is your view if you wanted to look at the vouchers specifically. So this is really a replica of what a user would see in Dell Digital Locker, just to provide a way for them to know exactly which vouchers have been pulled down to their system and are available to be used when those endpoint devices are turned on. So for how this would look from the user's perspective, if they're looking in the orchestrator, when you turn on a device, it's going to show up here and trying to contact. It's going to say waiting to onboard when you have that voucher available, but you've not received a call from the device yet. Once you've received a call from the device, it'll match with that voucher and it'll move to onboarding. Status there. It's usually fairly quick. Once it's onboarded, it'll switch over to a status of provisioning operating environment. And when it's all done, it will say provisioned. That's just a quick peek into the details page if you're looking at that specific device to verify its connectivity and that it's been fully onboarded to your orchestrator. So that's what we've implemented in our first release. So what's next for us is we want to continue expanding those Native Edge enabled devices that are FDO enabled for our platform. We want to add more options to that portfolio, as well as integrate with more of our channel partners to understand how we can use the benefit of the supply chain flexibility that FDO provides, as well as continue building out more advancements into our FDO implementation, as well as working with the FIDO Alliance on the spec itself to continue to solve more of the edge use cases and challenges that we've been running into. That's what we've been working on. So if you're interested in learning more about it, you can go to dell.com Native Edge. And if there's any questions, I'm also available to stay on.
Jenna, thank you so much for that. That was really great. I loved watching the process. It kind of shows how easy it is. A lot of the time when we see a demo, it's just code. So it's nice to see what it looks like from the other side of things sometimes. Can you give any perspectives on like what the feedback has been in terms of like your customer base around the solution?
The feedback's been very positive. Where, as I mentioned, we really just launched a couple months ago, but we have a lot of ongoing test cases with customers that are testing out the platform. And the onboarding piece is the part they're most excited about, to be honest. So they're really excited about what it can do now and what we'd like it to continue being able to do in the future.
Okay, that's great. If anyone has any questions, go ahead, pop them into the question widget. So is there any, when you talk about some of the other cases, is there any prioritization of like some of the other use cases that you're running into challenges with that should be prioritized? And just in your experience.
Right now we're working closely with you guys in figuring out how we can continue to extend the FDO spec to solve for more of those. For example, like a multi-owner scenario. So how can a voucher be owned by multiple entities? So in our case, we want to be able to have a global orchestrator instance that is also connecting to local orchestrators. So we want a hierarchical approach and how to solve being able to do that with FDO and within the spec and the security guidelines for the vouchers is a big piece that we're working to advance on now.
That's great. Jenna, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to continuing working with you on improving FDO and bringing it to more folks.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Thanks for all your help in doing this.
Of course.